And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk.
Good evening, good evening. We're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. This is the Make We Talk program. This evening program is based on the upcoming general election. It's Election Watch 2025. This evening program will be hosted by none other than former diaspora representative Dr. Karen Dunkley. She will be hosting the program tonight. Her guest is Mr. Victor Cummings, former Minister of Government, former Member of Parliament, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith, former House Speaker and former Member of Parliament, Mr. Conrad Obrien, talk show host of News Talk 93 FM. He will be coming on this evening, and this evening is about the upcoming general election. So remember, students, to share up this live feed, as much as you can. Will be a robust discussion this evening about the upcoming general election. I have with me now none other than Mr. Victor Cummings. He is a former Minister of Government and former Member of Parliament, a Jamaican by birth. You know, come here by aeroplane, he came here by labor pain. So Victor, welcome to the program. Unmute your mic.
Yep, there. Good evening.
Good evening. Greetings.
I'm going to hand over to Dr. Karen Dunkley. She's moderating this program this evening. As I hand over to her, I'm also see none other than one of Jamaica's pioneer, the man who talks truth to power, coming to us live from his automobile somewhere in the streets of Kingston, Jamaica. Let me hand over to Dr. Dunkley. Dr. Dunkley, take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Greetings to you and your listeners. Welcome to you. Conrad is here, Mr. Obrien, the man himself, and of course, our former Member of Parliament, former State Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture, former Chair of the Trade Board, Attorney at Law, Victor Cummings. Welcome, my brothers.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Conrad,
Good evening.
Big up to, of course, your viewers as always. And Conrad, you sound a little sniffly. So in Jamaica, it look like you need some ginger and lemon.
Not really. What happened? I'm navigating, so you know you have to bear with me. I may be a little bit choppy in parts, but I try to see how quickly I can get to a destination that I'll be able to, you know, be up in all my glory, so to speak.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, panelists, election 2025. We have heard that this is a historic election. that this election is going to be one that is going to, quite frankly, define the future of Jamaica, depending on the side. So those of you, you may support one side, the People's National Party, and there are those who support the Jamaica Labour Party. And based on the feedback, we have heard that this is indeed a historic election. So before we jump into the candidate matchup, we hear that Jeffrey also is not feeling well, a little bit under the weather. So Jeffrey, we're gonna boil up some bush tea for you, so you feel better. But let me ask you, Victor, and then Conrad, what are the top 3 issues you think that the Jamaican voters, those who are enumerated and are heading to the polls, what are the top 3 issues you believe will decide this election?
Well, I allow Conrad to go first, but I think, is he still on?
No, we're going to wait for him to come back on. Yes, go ahead, Victor.
I'll tell you what are my big concerns. You know, the issue of constitutional reform. But I was told before that nobody cares about that. But the longer we drag on, this election is being dragged out, more and more people are thinking that we should have constitutional reform where we have a set election date. Because, I mean, we need to know when it is going to happen. It should not be left to any one individual to call it when they think it is in their best interest. One of the constitutional reform having set would be
Victor, I don't know if it's me. Is it me or you're coming in a little choppy? Conrad, is it me or Victor is coming in and out? I'm going to ask our viewers, just let us know if you're hearing attorney comments well. Go ahead, attorney.
Is Victor going in and out? So
I'm sitting
here.
Go ahead, Conrad.
I am maybe causing a little bit of issue because I'm moving. As I said, I'm trying to get to this.
All right, you go ahead, Victor. We're gonna try. Yeah, you come in. It's like, as the lady said, it was chipped in out. So yeah, we're hearing you. It's an inconsistent feed. Go ahead. As we say at home, you're chipping out. Go ahead, sir.
Constitutional reform and as far as corruption, those are the 2 big things for me. I know what I've heard from people. Well, it depends on who you speak with. Some people think that the economy is the best that it has ever been, so they put back this government, but I don't think they were really looking at the economy and the prices of things and where the dollar is going. That's probably part of the narrative that is being put out there. But the economy is a major concern of those who have to go to the supermarket or even go to the market on a daily basis. When you see the prices that are going up, and there's certain things now, some of us have cut out having to buy some of those imported things because the price is there, where the prices of those imported items, little delicacies, those are going up. So for me, the top 3 things, well, personally, as I said, constitutional reform, the whole gamut of constitutional reform, corruption, and the economy are the things that concern me. And that is where I would want to see some changes.
Thank you for that, Victor. And I do. Let me ask you, Jeffrey, was Head Boy coming on? Your regular guest that comes on your program to share his top 3 issues?
Yes.
Before we jump into the matchup, just to hear from Head Boy, I think, Victor, I find it interesting. You mentioned the economy, right? Because some would argue that this is the best economy in terms of managing the debt that we have had for a while.
Yeah, and those who argue that aren't the ones who go to the supermarket on a regular basis. They can afford to give their helper some change buy whatever. But the public who goes to the supermarket, goes to the market, Coronation or whichever market, to buy things, are seeing that the prices are going up. The price of gas is going up. You know, it went up last week. Let's see what it is. Even when you inch it up a couple pennies, it still is affecting you. So prices are going up. Look at the exchange rate. Look what the dollar is doing right now. It is sliding. What has it reached 165 yet? You know, and if it is at the banks, if you take in dollars, what the big spread that they're giving you if you're buying dollars from them, as opposed to, you know, so people are going back onto the informal exchange where somebody you know is going up and they need to buy some dollars. You can then work out something with them for 160. Whereas if you're working trying to buy from the bank, it's depending on the bank, 165 or whatever. Or if you're selling to them, it's like a $10 difference between what you sell to them and what they sell to you for.
So the exchange. All right, thank you for that so much, Victor. Viewers, we're going to ask you, make a talk to like, subscribe, share up the live. We're getting ready to enter into the 2025 election candidate matchup. We did Cornwall in the first round. The second round is going to be Middlesex. And Middlesex is hot, hot, hot. We're talking Clarendon. We're talking Manchester. We're talking St. Anne. We're talking St. Catherine. We're talking St. Mary. All the saints. And this is going to be a show to remember. So thank you so much, Victor. Conrad, are you back with us? Before we jump into the first round at Clarendon, what are the top issues that will determine this election? And we're going to ask the viewers, the subscribers, just drop yours in the chat. What do you believe is going to be the determining issue, or what are the determining issues for this 2025 election? Go ahead, Conrad. Your top three, and then we'll jump to the parish of Clarendon.
Well, definitely. I think that the whole business of cost of living is going to be, pocketbook issue is going to be a factor, because even though the government are chomping at the bit to say, listen, you know, we have low unemployment figure in Jamaica, but certainly people are finding it very, very difficult to put food on their table. And I stay right there with the basic food, because recently result came out from the United Nations showing that about 57% of Jamaicans are having a difficult time in finding one sufficient meal per day, you know, a nutritious meal. So we're actually seeing bordering on what we're calling food insecurity here in Jamaica. So that's one. Also, I believe that the whole business of corruption certainly is going to be a factor in the election at this time around. First time in the history of Jamaica, we have seen a prime minister, the man at the helm, directly fingered into corruption and is certainly under investigation for illicit enrichment. That's a biggie. And in most countries across the world, he could never even be on the ballot, let alone asking the people to give him a third term. So that's another factor that will be there. The whole business of infrastructure, the poor infrastructure that the people have to be going through, you know, by way of the road network, water, and so on, the missed opportunity, missed promises, and so on. And certainly, I had a one in there, the level of arrogance that basically come into being when you ask this government a question. The only thing that they use to describe it is to say that the Jamaican people are bad mind. How do you vote a government in place, and when they are spending your money and you ask question? The latest in the series is the $1.5 billion for the school bus that they're bringing, and people are not against the school bus system, but asking the question, how come $1.4 billion of our taxpayers' dollars spent for this? And the thing is that you're a bad mind, you mustn't say anything. I believe that the people of Jamaica will punish the incumbent at the poll for all of these things.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, subscribers, you are tuned in to Make We Talk. We're doing the 2025 election matchup, the candidate matchup. You've heard from our guest today, Victor Cummings, former member of Parliament, former state minister in agriculture, former chair of the trade board. You've heard from journalists, the man himself on News Talk Radio, Conrad Obrien. And you're with myself, Carrie Dunkley. I'm sitting in as only I can for Jeffrey Tavares. So the views you've heard are certainly not my views, but certainly not the views of Make It Talk, but you've heard from our panelists today. And I'm going to ask Jeffrey that we must come back to speak to some of the issues and some of the perspectives shared. So let's just stick to what we have at hand. The business at hand is Clarendon. We're starting with Clarendon because Clarendon is hot. So in Clarendon, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. And again, we're in.
Constituencies, not division, constituencies.
Thank you, constituencies. That I stand corrected. That is correct. So now we're going to start off, of course, with Clarendon Central. And some people, I want to stay in my mode of moderating because I'm always tempted just to call it the way I see it, but I'm going to stick true to form. Let's start off with Clarendon Central, Clarendon North Central, Clarendon Northwestern, Clarendon Northern, and Clarendon Southeastern. Some people might say, boy, this is just a clear green sweep. But go ahead, Conrad, we're going to start with you.
Well, let's take them one by one. So let's start with Central Clarendon, and then after Central Clarendon, you can bring the other one in. This central Clarendon seat is certainly has become a bastion of the Jamaica Labour Party. In 1989, when now Shadow Minister of Justice, Senator Donna Scott Motley, run that seat. It was very, very competitive. As a matter of fact, persons had Donna to win the seat then, but a young attorney at law, Donna Scott at the time, Borising at the time, she came within striking distance. I think she lost the seat by a little over 100 votes then. But since then, the seat has basically not been competitively contested. The last time within recent time, we saw a quality candidate basically representing the People's National Party there was in 2020 when young attorney at law, which replicated the similar situation with Donna Scott Motley, a young Zalika Jess, she run against Mike Henry there. As a matter of fact, what I'll tell you is that the last time that a meeting was held in Maypen, at the time, Zalika Jess would be wearing diapers. So that was how long it was, and she basically broke that trend in having a meeting in the constituency in 2020. And what at the end of it all, she ended up as the PNP candidate that basically have the most increase within a constituency in Jamaica in 2020. However, that certainly was not enough to basically move the needle to trouble Mike Henry. So now Mike Henry is out of the system, and we saw the former mayor. Well, the mayor now, who is Mike Henry protege, Joel Williams. Mike gave him his nod, but certainly something went awry, and the Prime Minister override that and bring in his protege, his councillor and former mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew, Delroy Williams, affectionately called Feder. And so Feder is now the candidate there, and the candidate for the People's National Party, Carla Watt, who is the councillor for Maypen East Division, which has this powerful Canyon Heights district in there. So all in all,
he's chipping out.
Conrad, Yeah.
Conrad,
Conrad?
Conrad, unmute your mic. Conrad, unmute your mic. Your mic is muted.
He's unmuted. He just, because he said he's traveling, so.
But
It's
following
muted.
up what he said, I would call that.
Am I back on? Am
Yes,
I
you're
good?
back on now.
Yeah, you're back on,
Yes.
Conrad. Yes.
Certainly, without any reservation, I think it will have to be a miracle for the PNP to take that one. So I'm calling that one for the Jamaica Labour Party. But I thought it was important for me to give you some background there.
Oh, the background. I would agree that that's for Jamaica Labour Party. If Zulika had stayed rather than go down to St. Elizabeth, I believe then that would have been even more competitive. But right now,
Certainly it would have been.
for the Jamaica Labour Party.
All right, so we're calling. Okay, fair enough. So Clarendon Central, Jamaica Labour Party. Let's go to Clarendon North Central. Is that even worth a conversation? Or are we just going to call this for Robert Nestor Morgan?
Certainly not. Certainly not. As a matter of fact, I'm having that one for Dr. Ajay Dixon. I think there will be an upset there in the North Central Clarendon seat. When you look at what happened in the 2024 local government election with the with young Morris, who is a councillor who basically deflected from the Labour Party. He ran on the PNP ticket in the Moko division. He basically brought home that division, and I gather that there's a tight team up there with him and Dixon, Dr. Dixon for the People's National Party. I gather the constituency is quite united, and there are still a lot of differences with Robert Nestor Morgan there. You know, people believe that he's quite aloof. People believe he's a little bit cocky, arrogant, and so on. And he does not have the kind of work under his belt. Certainly, recently, he's using his portfolio as Minister of Works to get some things there. But I'm calling that one for the People's National Party, Dr. Ajay Dixon.
And here I also, based on information that I've received, at one point I would have said yes, Nestor Morgan would be re-elected. But what has been happening there on the ground, from what I understand, Dr. Dixon is on the ground, out there working, constituencies united, and everybody. So that one I would follow up, and I'll call that for the PNP.
Thank you. So let me stay again in my moderating role. I'm going to ask if there's anyone with insights on this seat for the Jamaica Labour Party, because the last time the people have done me, but again, Victor and Conrad, I do not think that Robert Nestor Morgan is beatable. I am not on the ground, and so therefore I must differ to those of you on the ground. But I would say I disagree on this one, just based on the Robert Nestor Morgan that I know and the work that he has been putting in. So let us go to...
What work is he putting in?
We're not going to digress. I didn't ask when you gave your perspective. You know, I didn't ask you to substantiate and give me examples. You say that's on the ground. So I take you. I'm taking your word
There's a level. I'm sorry. There's a level of arrogance that oozes through Morgan's ear, that he even said publicly that he is not coming on my program nationwide. Book me as a guest to discuss a poll number, and as a result of Nestor on the program, they scrapped me because he said that I'm a PNP activist and he wasn't going to come on with me. And because I dare to ask him tough question on my program, he said he would not come back on my program on radio, and I'm basically not asking question on my behalf. I'm asking the question on behalf of the Jamaican people. And you know me, Dr. Dunkley, that one thing with me, even though I may be accused of having a bias, but when it comes to my work, I go across the gamut, because it's not about I got your moment. It's about disseminating proper information for the people of Jamaica.
Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to go to Clarendon Northwestern.
Well, this one, I would say back to PNP as member of parliament. And continue to work there. I'm one of those who believe that if you are sitting MP in a seat and you lost that seat, don't go run to a safe seat. Stay there and work. But that's just my philosophy. And Richard has stayed there. He has been putting in the work, and I believe that he's going to win that one.
I must agree with you, Victor. I think that's a soup for Richard. I think Richard Azan will be walking up Duke Street. He will be back in Parliament. And I think he will actually be promoted. The last time he was there, he was Junior Minister of Works to Omar Davis. I think this time he will get the full portfolio as the Work Minister. He understands the work, and I think he will get that job. He will be the MP. So I'm calling that one for the PNP.
Thank you. So we have 1 for the Jamaica Labour Party, 2 for the PNP. All right. So let's talk about Clarendon Northern. I think this is an interesting constituency based on what I know in terms of just the profile of the candidates. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Cummings, and then over to you, Conrad.
Not too sure to you. I'm still gathering information. I'm saying that that's the Jamaica Labour Party saying that. But let's see what happens.
Oh, all right. I happen to know the constituency quite well. That's the constituency of former Minister of Health and Minister of Social Security, Horace Daly. He carried that constituency for quite a few terms, and he lost it in 2020. It was one of the surprise loss, and we're seeing now where former West Indies cricketer Wavell Hines is the man inside the constituency. I think it's represented by siblings of the Jamaica Labour Party. He is not an excited member of Parliament. He is one of those persons who you would be say warming the bench in the Parliament. And I believe with the wind behind the PNP's back, the PNP will retake that Northern Clarendon seat. So I'm calling that one for cricketer Wavell Hines.
Okay, very different.
All right, thank you. And so Victor, you differ there. You think that Dwight will hold on to this seat?
Tight, but I think he might hold on there.
Okay, so there we have it. Clarendon Southeastern, where we have, of course, Colonel Charles having had several portfolios. One included certainly the Foreign Affairs State Minister for Diaspora. And so I think
Minister of Agriculture as well. At one point he was in the Ministry of National Security and as a junior minister as well, and he now at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So he has some high profile position, and I think he's one of those who opine of being leader of the Jamaica Labour Party in the future. Don't know what will happen after this election, because certainly anything could play, and we could see that the leadership of the Labour Party is up for grabs. However, he is not I have great interest in the constituency. I can tell you that he's not a very excited and a hard and a very good performer as a member of Parliament down there in Southeast Clarendon at all. As a matter of fact, when the comparison is made with Roddy Spencer, who himself wasn't the best MP, people are saying that Roddy is 3 times Pernell Charles Jr. However, based on what I'm seeing, the workload from Cian Barneswell, the councillor for the Hills Division and former mayor of Maypen, I am not impressed with his workload, and as a result of that, I'm afraid I have to call that one as a retention for the Jamaica Labour Party and Pernell Charles Jr. It would be rather surprising for me if Barneswell take the seat. So I'm calling that one for the Jamaica Labour Party.
All right, so there we have it. 2 from you, Conrad, 2 for the JLP, and 3 for the PNP. And then Victor, it would seem that you disagree. You're giving 1 more to the Jamaica Labour Party. No, we're saying a lot.
What was Victor's view on Southeast Clarendon? I didn't hear.
We'll retain that one.
Okay, good.
And then the last one, Clarendon Southwest. where my friend Robert from has gone there, and I've told him he's not going to win against Cousins. Cousins is going to win that one.
Okay.
No, well, he is not. Robert Chin. He is the one who he has migrated from South Manchester. I think it is the end of his political career. Certainly for now, unless he decides to go elsewhere after the election and try to eke out a victory there. That one is Cousins, and Cousins is going to win it very, very big. As a matter of fact, he has won by a large margin in 2020, and I expect him to even increase that margin. That's Cousins' country, and that is the PNP territory, massive PNP constituency. And with the wind beneath the PNP's back right now, certainly the PNP will be laughing, our Cousins will be laughing all the way to Garden House in that constituency.
I drove through there the other day, and based on what I've seen, and there are a couple of Cousins that say, remember Butch Scott was the MP before that.
Yes.
He's been doing work. His margin is going to increase. I told Robert that he's just a sacrificial lamb. Okay. But
absolutely.
So I have
absolutely.
So let me ask you something, because I keep hearing, Conrad, we're going to go right to Manchester. I keep hearing the wind beneath the wings. The wind, yes.
Just a second there, Madam Moderator. Just a second there, Madam Moderator. Just for information purpose as well, as it relates to that southwest, that southwest Clarendon seat there, where Cousins is. Cousins' family is well endowed in the Clarendon belt. As a matter of fact, both south and east, southeast and southwest Clarendon. His grandfather, Emmanuel Cousins, came in striking distance. I think he lost the seat to Shearer, but then the southeast Clarendon lost to Shearer by about 5 votes or so. People said that he actually won it, but Michael, as prime minister, liked Shearer so much, and he gave Shearer the seat. That's what is on the ground. But certainly, that's the kind of pedigree of the Cousins name within the constituency, both south and east Clarendon. And right now, Cousins' father, I think he's one of the largest employer of labor within the southwest and southeast Clarendon community.
Family is very influential.
Victor, we're not, again, as the lady said, you're chipping out. You're chipping out, sir.
Okay. Will win.
You're not easy, dog.
But now to Manchester, I'm anxious to get there. I've relocated there, and I say that Manchester is a clean sweep for the PNP.
Manchester is a clean. Victor, you and Conrad, I'm trying to say the moderator, viewers, you're listening to Make We Talk. Thank you for staying. Like, subscribe, share it up, man. Our Jeffrey Tavares is here. He is not at a full 100, as the kids would say, and so he's doing his ginger and his bush tea. A clean sweep. Let me ask you, Larklon was in the chat the last time we did the matchup, and he said, what happens? The wind beneath the wings, when the call and the gate fly and the morning and the night of election, the wind and all of that doesn't happen. What happens, Conrad? Because you and Victor are so resolute that this is going to be a clean sweep, and I don't see it, but I'm going to stay in my moderator role.
Well,
hold on. I'm sorry that the third person who was advertised not here, the governor, Lloyd B. Smith. I'm sorry he's not here, but I can tell you this, that Victor migrated to Manchester. I'm a Manchester man in and out. Went to school there. That's my family home. I'm from Northwest Manchester, and I have very, very close ties in Northeast Manchester as well. My vote is presently in Central Manchester, even though I'm not living in the I have still have accommodation there, but I'm not there on a daily basis, right? I can tell you that Donovan Mitchell, there are so much things moving. When you talk about central Manchester, there's a gentleman there by the name of Kenneth Kendang Black, who wield enormous power. If you notice, well, and not power from any form of intimidatory point of view, but people just love him whenever he is out there. The people move, young, old, and in between. He is fully behind Donovan Mitchell there, and certainly that
move in 2020. Don't answer that. Continue.
there was a lot of issues there, a lot of moving parts there in 2020. We won't get into some of them, but certainly it's a different ball game now. It's a different ball game now. The community, the division of Belfield that normally send down about 3,000 plus votes from the Belfield Hills. About 1,100 or so came down the last time. So therefore, you can see where the PNP would be in trouble. You must also note that Rhoda Hamilton polled the smallest number of vote for any JLP candidate over the years, including smaller than Bartlett when he ran, less than Bartlett when he ran there, and she emerged as the MP. So what it was is that PNP people stayed home; they didn't come out. So she got a parados. The dynamics has changed now. The energy is fever pitch there in central Manchester. It will be a big win for the mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell. Also, Northwest Manchester, that's my place, born and bred. Northwest Manchester, in the leanness of time, that seat comes home for the People's National Party, let alone now, when the PNP basically is in its element. It's going to be back to the days of Dean Peart and his father, when PNP poll massive number in that constituency. Then you move to South Manchester, another place, PNP country again. The PNP basically, and as a result of that, you saw where Chin has to basically pack his bags and move out of that constituency because the fire was just burning there. And Bunting, Peter Murcott Bunting, will return to Parliament via the seat of South Manchester. I say that without any fear of successful contradiction. Your friend now, Dr. Doc, I think that's where you have the issue up there in Northeast Manchester. She will just be saving back her nomination fee. But businessman, Valentin Wind, will be taking that one. That is done and dusted. There's no way.
Conrad, are you awake? I know you must be awake, because it's dark where you are. Conrad, I hope you're not asleep and you are very lucid. Are you telling the panel and telling the viewers and the listeners that when it comes to Manchester Northeastern, that the former ambassador is going to lose, Conrad Obrien? Is this what you're saying tonight?
With all due respect, being an ambassador is a position that you're appointed to. Being an MP is one you have to go out there and win. And I can tell you that Audrey Marks is absolutely no match for Valentin Wind. And Valentin Wind can take his suits to the cleaners. Or if he doesn't have enough, he can go to a custom-made tailor and start getting them prepared, because he's going to need it, because he will be going to Parliament. So it's a clear 4-0 for the People's National Party. I say that without any equivocation.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Who just joined us? 1 second there, Mr. Cummings. Is that Head Boy?
This is Head Boy here, my friend.
Head Boy, welcome. Good to see you, Head Boy. You have to call it off.
Let me tell you, I'm glad I joined at this period, because I am quite in a position where I am glad that my good friend Audley Shaw is now retiring. And so I can safely campaign in Northeast Manchester without feeling any sense of guilt, even though one still would one would still be loyal to the People's National Party. But let me say this is history in the making. Audrey Marks has decided to, I think if Audrey had gone to Western St. Mary, where she's originally from, she would have had a greater chance of maybe making a difference, because maybe a change of candidate in Western St. Mary would have brought about a difference in that constituency. Yes? But for Northeast Manchester, with the 2 divisional seats being with the PNP, 2 out of 3, it's very difficult for Audrey to win. Very difficult.
It's also beyond that, head boy. I know the scenario that basically ushered Wallington Valwind in the constituency as the standard bearer for the People's National Party. It was not done willy-nilly, right? I know exactly what happened, what the numbers were saying from day one. I know the condition under which Valwind accepted to go into that seat and run rather. So therefore, it's much more nuanced than that. There's also a situation there where the people who had supported Ardishaw over the years, a lot of them love Valwind because Valwind is a staple within that constituency as a businessman, a man who everybody know where to find him, a man who send dozens or hundreds of children to school, a man who is there doing everything within the constituency, and he has done a lot of heavy lifting. He uses heavy duty equipment to basically fix road for the people. As a matter of fact, when you look at it, Val was already doing work in the constituency as MP without being an MP. So for odd remarks to come in, just basically that she was a former ambassador, and it seems as if she's a high-profile candidate, according to member of the JLP. Val is no fluke. Val is one of the biggest businessmen and biggest real estate developer in Jamaica. So you're not talking about a fly-by-night as a candidate. All right. As a matter of fact, if I may take sales out of school, some time ago, recently within the campaign, odd remarks, because this is her style. She's using a kind of money thing to woo people. So what she did, she went to a graduation and then she got up and said, listen, I am pledging $500,000 to do this, and believe that she would hit Val out of the water with that. And Val gently got up and matched that figure. So it is punkas pampankas for Audrey up there, so.
Yeah, may I add, I got chipped off for a bit, and so I didn't get to hear everything that was being said. To go back to my position with regards to the Manchester, Donovan Mitchell has been doing the work. Donovan Mitchell, not the previous PNP. He's there on the ground, he's doing the work, active, and with the position of mayor. I've seen recently we're driving up to the university and where people were fixing the road that had been messed up for a long time, and they were wearing their Rhoda Crawford t-shirt. Now I have a problem. The road was needed to be fixed, but don't go openly advertise the campaign. That turned off a lot of people. So with that, and even with the work that Donovan has been doing, the reason I also agree that Audrey is about to get a good and proper backside in is because Val never left. He never left. Even all the times that he is lost to Audley, he stayed. He stayed and continued to work. The people there know him. The people appreciate the work that he has been doing. And so now that is coming back to the PNP. Mikhail Phillips, he's been doing work, and that's where I now live. And so there also, he will win. Bunting has been doing work. Ian Hives, I don't expect him to really have that much of an impact down there. He'll be spending, but Peter Bunting has been down there working. So all 4 of those constituencies are coming back to the PNP. Audrey should have stayed in the U.S. and remain ambassador. Or maybe she got tired of it and got convinced to come back home. But to come back into politics and to go to that seat, I think that was a mistake for her. Only person who would have given Val a run is Audley, and he's not well, and he has been pretty much out of there for the past couple of years. And so Val has been working. He has been building a team over the years, continuing. So clean sweep for the PNP in Manchester.
And let's punctuate again, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the election toss-up, the Watch 2025. We're on, of course, Middlesex, and we're looking at the candidates across Clarendon, Manchester, and all the saints. St. Catherine, St. Anne, St. Mary. I do not, on the record, I think that, gentlemen, you are underestimating the former ambassador. You're underestimating her work ethic. I think you're underestimating her ability to connect with persons, her ability to get things done. So until the gate fly, that's when we will know. Can we move on to St. Anne? Can we move on to St. Anne?
And I hope you're not overestimating the
my good host, Dr. Dunkley. Victor Cummings, a former member of parliament, will tell you that all politics is local.
Yes,
and
yes.
When you introduce a candidate in a seat on the eve of an election, it is going to take her to work as hard as she has ever worked in her life to turn back the 15 to 20 years or even more than that of Val's presence politically in Northeast Manchester. Understand that seats, people vote on who they know, how they have been associated with you, what do they think about the candidate, how do they perceive the candidate. And in rural politics, if Audrey Marks was sent to Western St. Mary, I keep on saying this, if I were advising Audrey, I would have said to Audrey, go and make a deal with Bobby Montague, who is the chairman of the party, who is looking to retire now, maybe should retire from politics now, and run in the seat of your birth. Yes? A woman running in Western St. Mary would be the first in a long time since Iris Knight in the 1980s. Yes?
Okay.
So I can tell you she's really misplaced and she's in the wrong seat. But I think Conrad is saying something. But he might be speaking. Yeah, he may be on the phone. Okay. Oh. Yeah, he's muted out. Thank you, head boy. All right, well, let's go to St. Anne. We hear that. Boy, I hope, head boy, that we can come back, that Jeffrey will certainly have us back on the night of election to do our own feedback and perspective and to see, because I'm keeping a record of how we're calling it. So St. Anne, again, it's very interesting. We have St. Anne Northeastern in terms of constituencies, St. Anne Northwestern, we have St. Anne Southeastern and St. Anne Southwestern. So let us start with who they call the water boss, the man himself, St. Anne Northeastern, Matthew Samuda. How is that constituency looking? Head boy, you want to go, and then Attorney Cummings. Victor, you can come right in until Conrad comes back on. Is Conrad there?
Conrad, you're back with us?
No, man.
Oh, I see him. Muted. I see his lips moving. Conrad, are you muted?
Check your mic, Conrad.
Conrad, unmute.
Yes. Okay, good. All right, listen. Yeah. I just wanted to just close the cycle by saying that Audrey has actually done the reverse. It is known that people leave active politics and become ambassador. She is in the reverse, and I think it's ill time. But moving right along to the, and also one must understand that in the whole scheme of things, why these seats are looking so good, Madam Moderator, is that in 2016, about 160,000 PNP, normal PNP voter, stayed away from the poll. They are back now, and that is also buoying the PNP chance in a big way. So you're looking at center now. Which of them we're starting with?
We're starting with the man. I understand some people text me. They call the water boss, Matthew Samuda. Let's start with constituencies, St. and Northeastern.
No, he is not called no water boss, because he's no water boss. They call him either water boy, or short boss. He's known as short boss within the constituency. Short boss, they call him. All right, and he's up against the tall man, the 6'2" man like myself, or 6'3", who is called Ryan the King.
Sometime, Conrad. Careful or you're knocking out, Some short things work, man. Yes,
You should know. You should know. You should know that. I won't contest you on that. But I'm not basically knocking him on the basis of height either. Our colleague here, he himself is known as is not the tallest person either, head boy. So I would never ever use height to basically disqualify anyone, But the fact is that that constituency of Northeast St. Anne, there are a lot of dynamics there. First thing to begin with, one should remember that up until when Danny Melville basically they made that seat and a by-election run, it was PNP territory. Now Shahini was basically moved into the seat, and certainly the people developed. She won the by-election, and she developed somewhat of a love affair with the people, and so on, and it becomes somewhat of a personality seat. If you notice what happened inside there when Smith became the MP there, certainly it became a seat with a lot of turmoil there, because the people were looking for somebody that basically have some of the attributes of a Shahini Robinson. We understand that Ryan Simpson in that seat basically offered that kind of a similar personality. Although him being a male, he has some of those traits of Shahini. On the other hand, the short boss, Mr. Samuda, he is no Shahini. He struggled to poll good numbers in the local government election, in the by-election rather, and he's still finding his way around the constituency. Ryan lives in the constituency, his vote is in the constituency, and he has been there. While I will say that hold on. Let me just finish. Repeat what you said. I didn't hear you.
No, finish what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that while at the moment, based on the recent history of that seat, I would basically looking at it, lean JLP at this time, but I would not write off Dr. Ryan Simpson. So for the purpose of the discussion, because we are looking at the seat and we must give a number, I would say JLP, but not by any stretch of the imagination will I write off Ryan Simpson, Dr. Ryan Simpson.
Thank you.
I'm in agreement that one is leaning JLP, and the more work that Dr. Simpson puts in on the ground, because remember, it was pointed out, that seat was a PNP seat. Manly Bowen was the MP. He resigned. Then you had Danny Melville, who I think spent about a year or 2 years there. He wasn't a good MP. And that just shows when you parachute people into a seat just before it end up happening.
He wanted tourism minister, and PJ didn't give him, so he picked up his marble and walk.
Just decided to walk. And then the people were so upset, because I remember when they had the by-election that Shahini won. We had gone down there to work, And by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we knew that we had lost that seat. And
Mhm.
going to be, and Shahini, as a personality, I mean, I sat in Parliament with her. You couldn't help but like her.
Absolutely. That's the account from everybody that I speak to as it relates to the late Shahini Robinson.
Very personable and
one of the greats. So on that note, gentlemen, I think can we come back to this head boy, because I don't want us to surf over this again. We want to thank all of the Make It Talk viewers, the subscribers, and ask you to share the live and drop your questions in. Drop your candidates. You're watching our election toss-up or 2025 candidate matchup. And of course, we have former member of parliament, state minister, and chair of the trade board. We have our journalist, veteran journalist, Mr. Conrad Obrien. We have attorney Victor Cummings, and our regular featured social and political commentator, Head Boy. So I call him the water boss, and Conrad tell me, don't call him the water boss, Head Boy. Can we look at this portfolio of this minister and said he did some good work?
he did a lot of
quickly.
He got promoted. They did a lot of promotional, but when it comes to on the ground, come on, the entire water system in Jamaica is a mess. And that's one of the problems I have with this government. They're using the resources to promote the work that they claim to be doing.
But the work is not there.
But the work is not there. So, I mean, and it isn't.
So it's a PR. So it's a PR government, Victor.
Exactly. And PR is not what's going to win the election. And we know they're going to try and buy this election.
Oh, no, Victor, we can't just throw out all of these possibilities about who is going to buy what, right? Because it may be said on both instances. Head Boy, come in here. Any feedback on this,
Right.
Head Boy? Are we going to go to St. Yeah,
No,
talk
I
a little bit
was
about that before we jump, because this is a big issue in the election, to Victor and Conrad's point, this point of water. And my intel is telling me that this minister has delivered on water.
But you're
Delivered? No, one second, Victor. 1 second.
You're getting too much of
You
the
know,
information. And that promotion information is skewed. They're using.
can you hear me?
But the
Yes, wait, Victor, Head Boy's gonna go because Head Boy can't steal. Thank you. Go ahead, Head Boy.
Right. What I'm saying, is I totally agree with Victor's comments in regards to the minister's performance on water. And let me say this: one cannot separate Prime Minister holiness. I will not try to victimize poor Matthew Samuda in this instance, because the Minister of Water has primarily been for the last 10 years the Prime Minister of Jamaica, because the Ministry of Water has been under the Economic Growth and Job Creation, which is a ministry that the Prime Minister presides over. So when the Prime Minister comes to people in Black River and in Hanover and in St. James and all over the country and tell them about the water issue, he has been the Minister of Water, the primary minister. Now, in regards to Northeast Centre, I can tell you this, and this is my prediction. In 2011, Shiny only won that seat by 1,200 votes. A lot of people didn't remember that. She came down from a margin of 2,000, 3,000 votes. Paul Stewart did that in 2011. Why am I referring to this number of 2011? She got 9,500 and something votes to Mr. Paul Stewart's 8,000 something. Yeah? Simple put. What's his name? Matthew Samuda in the by-election got 4,000 something votes. If it were a regular election, Matthew would have polled somewhere between 6,500 votes. I am not going to call any number here because I'm not going to give the JLP any idea. But all I'm simply saying is the PNP has the numbers in that seat. It is a PNP seat. It was just voting in respect to Shiny, who is a daughter from Claremont and a daughter of St. Anne. Now that has changed. I can tell you, the game in St. Anne has totally changed. Remember, Northeast St. Anne was the first garrison in St. Anne, meaning literal garrisons. Persons were brought from St. Catherine in Spanish Town. We have Steer Town today. Nobody lived there before. It was people from St. Catherine. So that history that many of us glorify Shiny, who I love, by the way, I will never disrespect the Fakuri family, but we must never forget that the first introduction of garrison politics.
You're indeed correct, Ed boy.
Real garrison politics in Northeast, in St. Anne.
But the question that one would ask, Head boy, is that garrisonization that you talk about, is it still present? Or those votes were able to, what is the situation with those votes now? Hello?
Head boy?
I think we lost it.
Okay, we may have lost Head boy.
No, I mean, Conrad. Conrad was asking.
Yeah, Conrad was
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Conrad is asking the assertion that there was a garrisonization. Yes, we can hear you, Head boy. Can you hear us?
I don't know what happened.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. Your voice subscribers, we're asking you to share, like, certainly subscribe. You are watching Make We Talk. Jeffrey Tavares, Election Watch 2025. An historic election is on the way. You cannot sit this election out regardless of how you choose to vote. We have the economy is on the line. The cost of living is on the line. The future of Jamaica is on the line. Your future, my future, our children. So this is where you must stand up and be counted. And we're just doing a candidate matchup who will, on the night of election, lead Jamaica forward. Head boy, are you back with us? All right, so while Head boy comes back, we were going into the history of Northeastern and very curious history. I'm fascinated by that conversation, and we can come back to it at another time in terms of where did those votes go, if the votes are still there. But trending, we're calling St. Anne Northeastern, trending for the Jamaica Labour Party's Matthew Samuda. Let's just talk a little bit about St. Anne.
Based on the last few election, but it must be underscored that you have a homeboy there in Dr. Simpson who understand the dynamics of the constituency and spending a lot of time on the ground. People like the craft vendors and so on, you would see Dr. Simpson out there, mobilizing, championing their cause and so on, and those things must be counted. So while I'm saying that I think it is lean JLP or lean JLP at the moment. However, election night, this Northeastern St. Anne scene is going to be a humdinger. It will be one to watch. But again, as I said, because we are looking at the raw numbers and we have to make a call, I would say JLP.
Thank you. Well, can we go to St. Anne Northwestern, where Crystal Lee currently sits? How and what are we thinking?
Done deal. Back in
one second, Conrad, 1 second. I think, Head boy, you're trying to come in here?
No. Go ahead, Conrad. Go ahead.
Okay,
no,
Conrad and then Victor.
No, I'm saying that it is done deal. The PNP president, the lady that is affectionately called Gabby, Senator Gabriella Morris, she will be walking up Duke Street. Crystal Lee has been a very weak MP there. As a matter of fact, at one point, the JLP was contemplating removing her as their standard bearer. And, you know, even people who I know who work with her, they actually said, listen, this one is over. The PNP will be taking that. That seat is also a sort of weather vane seat as well. And with the movements of the PNP now, with the PNP voters back in play, I have no hesitation in calling that one for young Gabriella Morris. I think she will continue to hold on to the distinction of being the youngest MP in the house, in the lower house, as she is now the youngest senator in the upper house.
That one, I go ahead and give it to Gabriella Morris. I would put it as leaning PNP. She has been doing the work. She has support of the PNP YO there. And to me, at the end of the day, with all the different seats, it's about the groundwork. And the candidates who have been there on the ground, working, have everything organized. And I can speak more for PNP, so I would put that as leaning PNP. Senator Morris will be sitting in Gordon House.
Thank you. So we want to make sure that we do a time check. Head boy, do we have you for a little while yet?
Silence.
All right, so we're going to talk about, yes, we're hearing you now.
Right. No, I'm saying I totally agree with all the views expressed. But the only departure I will have, I am not going to put it leaning PNP. I am going to put it winning PNP. And I'll tell you why. Crystal Lee will go down in history as one of the worst performing member of parliaments in St. Ann Northwest. But not only that, she was also a councillor in my very good constituency in Western St. Mary. Yes. And she left the division of retreat in Western St. Mary, neglected it, and went to Northwest St. Ann. Won it because of the COVID. But remember the history of Northwest St. Ann. It has a 2-year history and it has a 1-year history. So St. Ann votes a particular way. Dayton Campbell, when he won the seat in 2011 after Lucius Thomas fell ill, he was the youngest MP in Parliament. It's now coming again. History is repeated. Gabriella Morris will win the seat, being once again the youngest member of Parliament in the House. It switches 2-year PNP, 2-term PNP, 2-term JLP. Then
also one gets the impression that constituency is also there's also a sort of there's also a sort of
Head boy, 1 second. Just let head boy finish, and then Conrad, you can jump right in. Go ahead, head boy. Head boy.
No. Okay. I'm finished. I'm finished.
Okay, thank you.
Those are my views.
Okay, Conrad.
I was saying that what happened is that that constituencies also carry a sort of feel-good element about how the people feel about the person who is representing them. And if you notice what took place down there in the market district and so on, you can see that the people basically, rallied against the Prime Minister himself when he attempted to walk in the Brownstone market, and also they are shunning Crystal Lee in a big way. So you can feel that shift on the ground, and I want to agree with my brother and friend, colleague, head boy, to sort of move it a little bit more out of the realm of what Victor said, because when you say lean PNP or lean JLP, it means that it could go either way. But I am moving out of the realm of lean, and I'm calling this one safe PNP at the minute.
All right, so let's talk about St. Ann Southeastern. Can we say that is safe? Either PNP and St. Ann Southwestern, where we have Xavier Main. I know that is also going to.
That's Southwest. Southwest is the
right,
Southwest.
Xavier Main. So with Southeastern, we have Delroy, and then Southwestern. Can we call those quickly? Because I want us to spend some time definitely in St. Catherine.
All right. I am going to basically call those two. Those additional two. I think Xavier is going to lose. Danishka is going to create some history there and basically did what Keith Walford did in 2011. And that seat will return to the People's National Party with young Danishka Williams. They're feeling the heat down there. That was one of the first constituency that they started to destroy billboards and so on. Young Danishka Williams has been on the ground. Basically, Xavier was missing in action. He was nowhere on the main at all. And it's since Danishka there, he started to go to church service and all of those sort of things. So I'm calling that one lean. This one now I will say.
And I'll support that position where Danishka is there on the ground. She's doing the work and it is leaning. Maine was a missing MP. All of a sudden he has been resurrected and is out there, but it's too late. And if you know Danishka, the people like her and she's out there working. So I would
they love her. They love her. They envelop themselves in her. So and she's bordering with her good friend, Gabby. You know, so there's a kind of synergy that is happening down there. And of course, the final sentence seat there with Dr. Russell, that is PNP territory. There was some amount of slippage there.
Southeastern, St. and Southeastern.
Yeah. There was some slip up there in 2020. You know, of course, there was a lot of moving parts, a lot of issue there with Lisa and the councillors and so on. But she was able to hold on by 32 and bring it home for the People's National Party. I expect this time around it will be back in the days of a Foggy Mullins when that seat will be coming home very, very big for the People's National Party and Dr. Russell.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's a PNP seat. And once again, when you parachute somebody into a seat, and that's where the margin has been decreasing. Dr. Russell is from the area. He has been there working. And people are going to give it to him, and he's going to win back by a big margin.
Thank you so much. So we're going to go to St. Catherine. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we want to thank all the viewers and subscribers just for hanging, staying with us on Make We Talk. Jeffrey Tavares, Election Watch for Jamaica, 2025, Jamaica Land We Love. So where are we? Who on the night of election? We will say that, well done. We're ready for the next phase of Jamaica's national development. I want us to spend some time in St. Catherine because, number one, it has so many constituents, but also because a lot of St. Catherine, I grew up in Spanish Town in Ensom City, and it is quite interesting. I went to my high school, is in St. Catherine High, and it's interesting to look at the development of this parish and just the representation across the decades from, as I would say, I was a little girl. So we're going to start, of course, with the woman of culture, in culture herself, that constituency, St. Catherine Central, where Minister Olivia Grange currently sits. That's the incumbent. Should we just call it?
Well, that's a garrison for it's Babsy will take that home. We know that. I mean, she's done the work. She's always been a
When we say that a lot of these constituents are garrisons, Victor, we can't just say this one is a garrison, because a lot of the constituents in Jamaica are garrisons.
No, but there's no debate on that. Central St. Catherine is one of the mega garrison. It's where the two major gangs are, Klansman and One Order, especially One Order. It's One Order home, and we know that. So there's absolute no debate on that. It goes without saying. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably the most notorious garrison in the entire Jamaica.
All right, so we're going to call that. Now, this one is interesting. St. Catherine East Central. A lot of sentiments around this. So we know certainly that the Jamaica Labour Party along the Terrelong sits here, and hotly contested seat by Raymond Price on the People's National.
All right. Who is weighing in this? Should I go?
Yes, you go ahead, Conrad, and then Victor. Yes.
All right. I heard you mention something about the part about St. Catherine and Spanish Town and so on in particular. And let's call a spade a spade. The major development or movement that we have seen in St. Catherine, it's primarily within the Portmore belt there that has been promulgated in major parts by the People's National Party, because Portmore in the main is really PNP territory. And that's where we have seen the major development. And then also we look back at down in Southwest Clarendon, Southwest St. Catherine, where Warmington is, but we will get there. That's the other belt that we see, the development, and that again is the PNP doing. So we look at that. But all in all, that seat over there, East Central St. Catherine, I expect Raymond Price to basically take that one. I think Raymond has went in late in the day in 2020. So he basically, get his foot wet there. There was a lot of things happening there. And of course, Arnold Terrelong, while he is kind of there or thereabout, but he has not done a lot of development work within the constituency. And that is the reason why the Jamaica Labour Party was fighting tooth and nail to get Portmore to be named the 15th parish, so that they could basically cut off the heavy PNP part of the constituency, put it over to Denise Daly, because what they know is that Denise Daly is already strong and Denise will win that seat in an event. So they didn't mind giving Denise more. But once they move that PNP cluster there, that major PNP, the Lime Tree Grove area coming in that entire belt there, which is heavy PNP, then they would basically secured that seat for Terrelong. With that fail, certainly I am saying that is lean PNP to Raymond Price.
And I will support that. The entire attempt of gerrymandering with regards to Portmore, which we had discussion, wasn't well thought through. They didn't pay attention to the Constitution. And it was about strengthening and keeping Terrelong there. But there, Raymond has been doing the work. He's on the ground. So I would say that one is leaning towards PNP. Denise Daly, I mean, there's no argument there. Denise is an MP, former mayor of Spanish Town. She's on the ground, she's working, and that's a PNP seat. So I would give that to PNP also. Next would be Garvey now. And she there. So when you're looking at St. Catherine, I say PNP is going to pick up the majority there. And just to quick digress, boy, if everything goes as we have been discussing, Karen, you need to get some of your friends on, because it looks as if we're talking about a PNP landslide. A
landslide in the 40s. In the 40s, actually. In the 40s.
Yeah. I haven't started talking about Portland yet, which, I'm anxious.
No, that's the next match, Victor. Don't rush
before we move out of that, let us properly look at the St. Catherine area.
Right. Conrad, 1 second. Let me just say to the viewers, because they're hanging with us, that you drop your candidate in the chat as well, because we want to hear from you. This is Make We Talk. So we're talking about the things, and we're talking of the things about Jamaica National Development and election 2025. And Victor, I hear you to get, my friends, but I'm telling you, Larkin said the last time, what if you guys keep predicting a landslide and just on the night of election, You're shocked to find out that you don't have a landslide, you have a landfill. We don't know. Let us see. Continue, Conrad.
That would be the democratic right of the Jamaican people, but certainly based on what we're seeing, and that's what we can go off, because that is why we are pundits and that is why we are analysts. We look at the development on the ground. And that's what we're doing. But let's stay with Portmore. Since you move over to that seat with Raymond Price and Terry Long, right? The entire Portmore essentially is PNP country. So Fitz is safe and Dr. Dawes is going to come in. So it's actually 3-0. Portmore will be 3-0. Portmore, it will be a clean sweep for Portmore. As a matter of fact, in the last local government election, Portmore went 12-2 or 10-2, one of those things. I forgot that number of division there. I think, head boy, maybe you can back me up on that, or Victor. But the JNPB.
You said 12-2, 12-2.
12-2, right? So it basically shows the sentiment there. Of course, early in the piece.
The two divisions would have been funny enough. One second, because this is very important to note. Yeah, this is very important to note. The two divisions that went green would have been in the East Central St. Catherine seat. That is the seat that Mr. Terry Long is running in. Because before, remember the councillor for what area they call it again?
The South Bar division. He was murdered. Yes, Tyson.
Tyson was murdered. And before that, the PNP had that division and the Portmore Pines division. But if you look at the voter turnout in the local government election overall in East Central St. Catherine, the data will show you that if the general election were to call, the PNP would have won that seat by about 400 votes. So I want to say to you, with no shadow of doubt, that I am not worried about East Central St. Catherine. I agree with Conrad. 3 out of Portmore. Let's go into St. Catherine, where it's going to get even more interesting.
In that St. Catherine, now of course we call Central for Babsy without any shadow of a doubt. Also, we can sign off on Dr. Wheatley.
That's St. Catherine South Central for our listening audience.
Done and dusted. There is another very interesting seat there.
Southwestern with Everald Warmington. We can sign off on that too.
That's where I'm heading. No, not so quick. Not so quick. Everald Warmington is certainly not as potent as he used to be. What you have Dr. Wall there, medical doctor, Dr. Wall, who basically capped a big prize down in that constituency there in the local government election, the Old Harbour West division, which consists of Old Harbour Bay, which is a large pocket of vote there. And that is why, remember, Warmington was so upset and basically made this very dastardly comment when he said that no PNP would spend his money. So all of those things are figuring there. Wall is inside there doing the work. He's basically getting has gotten very, very close to the gated community, because that's the point I was trying to make, that because of the vision of PJ Patterson with the highway and so on, a rafter of development take place along that belt with housing and so on, that filter all the way into Southeast Clarendon with the massive Longville Park community. So those developments are PNP's legacy. And, so a lot of things happening. I will have it certainly lean JLP, but I could not write off Dr. Wall at this time. So I'll call it for Warmy, lean JLP, but watch out election night. There could be a surprise there.
Thank you. Head boy, anything else? And then Victor, we're going to start with you as we wrap with St. Mary. Head boy, anything else on St. Catherine? So Olivia is coming.
But remember Dr. Tufton?
But Dr. Tufton, is that, okay, as a member
No,
of parliament. No, we're not
no, we
talking
have
as
to,
a minister.
we're not glossing over them. Let's call it just as we call
So,
seat and we say this is PNP. We want to be fair and to call it. This one will go back to Tufton and the JLP,
St. Catherine,
right?
West Central, we're calling for Chris Tufton. Okay.
Yeah, up in Northeastern St. Catherine now.
That's the battle. That's where the PNP is going to have the opportunity now to really put some pressure in St. Catherine, because I can tell you that Northeast St. Catherine seat is not necessarily a JLP seat, but it is not a strong PNP seat either. Yeah, but it's a personality seat won by Phyllis Mitchell in the past, and Andrew Higgins, who is running, is somebody who was known to Phyllis Mitchell. And I think that the sentiments, especially from the condition of how the people feel with, no major infrastructure development in the constituency, that you are going to find that you may find a surprise on election night in that St. Catherine seat. Yes, remember that the JLP has held that seat for quite a long time, from far back as Gregory Muir. Yes,
I'm going to go one better than you here, Ed Boy. With this,
yes.
I have worked with Phyllis Mitchell as her press liaison officer when she was there, and I can tell you, based on my tentacle within the constituency, I am telling you this, that I am calling it for Higgins of the People's National Party over my good friend Currency Morrison.
Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
that will be a bombshell election night, and I am going on a limb and calling that one for Higgins.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers and subscribers, listeners, audience, Make We Talk Election Watch 2025, the most historic election we have had in our Jamaica land we love in modern history. Calling the seats, the candidate matchup. We have former Member of Parliament, State Minister, Chair of the Trade Board, Victor Cummings, Attorney at Law. We have veteran journalist.
Identify some great anomaly there with this $1.4 billion that's spent on the used car bus, and Victor knows the lay of the land. Former chairman of the Trade Board.
So, we have you, Conrad, Obrien, and of course we have our good friend, social and political commentator, head boy, and we're saluting the man himself, Mr. Jeffrey Tavares. So we're calling that, we're saying St. Catherine Northeastern, then Carencia, Morrison, we're going to have an election. Surprise, I, as the moderator, again, I do not agree with the views of the panelists, but moderate I shall and moderate I will. So we're calling that.
Paid dearly to say that the People's National Party headquarters will be a museum. She will pay dearly. I am telling you that.
Of course.
Dearly.
Of course.
Dearly.
And she will become my good friend. And I love the senator. I want to tell you that when she was a senator,
and she's not well loved. She's not. My information also, is that Karen says not well loved within the Jamaica Labour Party. If you notice, each time that she figure more or less that she would get a shoe in, even as a junior minister, she have been overlooked. I must also tell you.
Wait on, let head boy finish. Go ahead, head boy, because he can't remember. He's coming in on fold. Go ahead, head boy.
No, I wonder if it was. I'm wondering if the issue of her not getting where she needs to be is an issue of the color of her skin. But how dare I ask that question? How dare I ask that question?
Anti-black.
How dare I ask that question? How dare I ask that question? But I would be dare enough to ask the question, because I know within the JLP that former Minister Montague has had interest in running in that seat and running for prime ministership or a leader of the JLP. And one of the fundamental questions many persons have said and many persons have put to him is, do you understand the history and that it will not be easy for you to make it as leader of the JLP? Yeah, and I think it's because
Well, I,
Teresa doesn't.
I tell you something. My little birdie put something under my door some time ago, just to kind of correlate what you're saying as it relates to my good friend Currency. When there was a particular program being pushed, Currency, to my understanding, was the person, because everybody know that she has a beautiful speaking voice and so on. And she was the person who was slated to do the NIDS ad, right? That were purloined all over television and so on. And she was literally pulled from doing it because they said that Minister Johnson Smith was easier on the eyes. I leave it right there.
We have no comment for that. But it's interesting, boy. So many things happening, so many pieces to unpack when it comes to politics, when it comes to representation in Jamaica, land we love. So can we move on from St. Catherine, gentlemen?
No, but we haven't mentioned in St. Catherine that David
Northwest
will be returning.
Yes,
Northwest. Yes.
No, that
one last
you mean with Newton Amos?
Yeah, that's without a question.
Yeah, man.
Newton will remain a Newton.
Yeah, so okay, so let's call it. We can still call it.
Yes. And I point out
without question.
Or not Sherman. Maybe you're speaking it into being and it might happen. And then we can clear up all of this stuff with these buses that have been brought in.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman.
Let's not digress. I don't draw my tongue. Don't draw my tongue. Not drawing me tonight. I will not be blended and mixed up.
Or when you beautiful women come and warning men not to draw on the tongue, you know, be careful, you know.
We're not going to touch it. Ladies and gentlemen, make we talk election 2025 with the man himself, Jeffrey Tavares. We have tonight Conrad Obrien, head boy, Victor Cummings. We're on the last parish. Boy, this is going to be a hot election. Tell on a call, on a family, on a friend, all on a come along them. They must vote in this election. They must go pick up the ID. If they don't have the ID, the voter's ID. I know, Victor, you can give the education that they can still vote. Do not sit this election out.
So for St. Mary, I'm saying 2-1 PNP. The one which is just leaning is Montague. But with regards, Omar Newell and Chris Brown will be MPs in St. Mary.
So let our listeners know, St. Mary, we have St. Mary Central, we have St. Mary Southeastern, and we have St. Mary Western. Go ahead. So, Victor, you're calling, you're saying St. Mary leaning is St. Mary Western. You're saying that former Minister Montague will not hold on to his seat. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Leaning his way.
Okay.
But possibility, but the other two, PNP picking up the other two, definitely.
Okay.
But look out, Bobby.
Go ahead, boy. I'll come in, Lord.
Right. I agree with Victor.
Victor, head boy.
I agree with Victor that Central St. Mary will be one, and that Southeast St. Mary will be one. What I don't agree with him with is that Western St. Mary is leaning PNP.
No,
let me give your listeners. Let me
that
give
leaning
leaning. Let me give your listeners a statement of fact that a lot of people may not have recognized, and I think the country is now seeing it. The Prime Minister is going into Western St. Mary more than ever. He has never visited Western St. Mary like this before. That's one. Two, the Gale division that was won by the PNP in 2024 in the local government election was last won in 1998. Yeah? So that is a fundamental shift. The three divisions that is now held by the PNP in the constituency are the three largest divisions. Yeah? So I don't have to say much more. And one of the divisions that is not held by the PNP is also a PNP division that was lost by about 100 and something votes. So let me say to you, my good friend Bobby Montague, because I am a Western St. Mary man, that's where my family come from, and that's where I live in Jamaica. Let me say to my good friend Montague that he knows and we know that he's doing a lot of good work now. But as the people are saying on the ground, he's little but too late. Too late is the cry. Too late is the cry. When Bobby Montague lost to Julian Silver in 2011, he started the major infrastructure work in Western St. Mary just on the eve of election. And it seems like history is repeating the same fate to him once again. Western St. Mary also has the largest population of youth vote in the entire country.
Ooh.
Look at where the youths in Western St. Mary are going. You see that it is a filtering of where the youths of Jamaica are going. In 2011, Western St. Mary recorded the highest amount of youth votes. Yeah? So don't underestimate the youth in Western St. Mary. This constituency has never gone to a party that has never been in government. Never. So
all right, let me weigh in. Of course, the Western St. Mary seat, and that is why last week when we look at Cornwall, I called St. Elizabeth 3-1 in favor of the People's National Party, because there's something that we must note, and if we are true and really believe the wind that is blowing right now in Jamaica, the political wind, then there's absolutely no way that Western St. Mary can go to the JLP. That's what you call the quintessential weather vane seat, as Ed Boy alluded to just now. And that seat, basically, remember, when Bobby lost it, the last time Bobby lost it, he was a high-profile minister of government. He has been stripped of his ministerial portfolio for whatever reason. So he has been diminished in stature and all of that. The PNP is riding high. Recently, a JLP poll, or a poll that is basically said it has its credence within the Jamaica Labour Party. That poll, they poll St. Mary, that constituency of St. Mary, and it shows that young Woodbine, was leading Bobby Montague by about 14 or 16 percentage points. Now, when you get there on the eve of an election, there's absolutely no coming back. So I'm calling St. Mary a clean sweep for the People's National Party. 3 out of 3.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Boy, there we have it. Make we talk election 2025.
You know the fireman burns. You know the fireman burns, darling.
A clean sweep. Well, I want us to come back another time, head boy, and thank you so much, Victor, and thank you, viewers, just to talk about the issues on the table this election, to talk about the political climate. I see a lot of videos of them saying that this memorabilia has been taken down, this poster has been taken down. The fact of, do we need an ombudsman that really sits outside and is independent to make sure that we have and that we keep to the standards of free and fair election. We want to thank everyone who joined us.
Madam Moderator, yes. just may I just make a quick request of you?
Yeah.
Can we just chip chat maybe for 5 minutes while you put this question up? Ask the viewers and listeners to basically chime in on this. with the Prime Minister on the investigation for illicit enrichment and cannot be certified for not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, but going 4 years now, is he fit for purpose to be on the ballot coming in the next election? We know that there is nothing by way of law, legally, that's prevent him, but by way of moral standing, is he fit for purpose to be there?
That is where I was going to point out that there is no law that prevents it, and that is part of our governance problem. And also to point out further that this government has been attacking our governance structure. Look at it. You change it where we don't have an ombudsman separate. You put it there into the Electoral Commission because that gives you a chance. The ombudsman, look at the law that they tabled about constitutional reform. They don't want real constitutional reform. What that law does is concentrate more power into the hands of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And I would further say that this attempt by not calling the election anytime soon, what they're going to try and do, Parliament ends, the life of Parliament ends on the 14th of September. And they have 3 months after that because they see the writing on the wall. And so
can I do
on as much as possible? And that is wrong. Our government system.
1 second, Conrad. Just let Victor finish, and then you'll.
We demand a change. We need a change if we're going to have serious governance for a country that is now 60 odd years young. So we need. That's one of the reasons, and the issue of corruption. How can you have the moral right to say you put in law about anti-corruption, you give great speeches in Parliament, it is their document, and when you're caught with your pants down, you challenge the law that you put in place? He doesn't have the moral authority to be Prime Minister, but the law doesn't prevent him, because it says you have to be a declared bankrupt. It doesn't say that, you have to have been convicted of a serious crime or a declared bankrupt, and neither one. So therefore, he is there going. And we need to put in place these where we can have recall of people, term limits, so that we can have regular renewal and a set election date. It should be left to when he feels it is in his opportunity.
But Victor,
they're going to wait. We're not going to have no election in the next.
1 second there, Victor. I hear you, and I know that it's a conversation that is out there on a lot of people's lips. But I want to be on record and maybe take the unpopular, oppress maybe the unpopular opinion here. The Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Michael Brogard Rodham Holness, already have enough coal heap on his head, burning. He's on the fire, on the weight. There is absolutely no way, in my view, that the Prime Minister is going to do something as dubious as this. When you hear somebody like constitutional expert, Dr. Lloyd Barnett, said that, listen, the only countries that basically even raise these arguments is when you have despotic and dictator government. Think of using that aspect of the Constitution to basically go into that 3-month period when there is no major disaster. So Andrew Holness, as much as we want to describe him in a particular way, I don't see him going there. The election, and mark my word today, the election.
We have 1 minute. We do have to wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute. Wrap it up and then Jeffrey's going to come back in.
I'm wrapping. I'm saying that the election will be done and dusted by the 3rd of September 2025. Won't go a day past that.
Thank you. On that note, okay.
Doc, I was trying to give my final point because I didn't.
Yes, please make your final point. And we're going to ask Jeffrey Tavares to come back in just to close us all. Go ahead, head boy.
And my point is simple. I'm not even going to have a long drawn out speech. My point is simple. Andrew Holness should not be on the ballot. And it is not in relation to even the issues of corruption. It is in relation to a simple thing as my grandfather and grandmother taught me. Your word is your bond. Andrew Holness told the Jamaican people when he campaigned in 2014, 15, and 16 that he would not need more than 2 terms. He would mandate the 2 terms limit. Yeah? So why is Andrew Holness coming to the Jamaican people now to ask for another term? You said to us then that there would be no need for anything else but a 2 term. Give me 2 term and I'll fix Jamaica. Give me 1 term and I'll grow the economy 5 in 4. Yeah? So we should not be having the discussion whether or not Mr. Holness should be putting up himself for an election. The other thing is we should not be having the discussion of when is an election date. He told us because of what he felt the PNP was doing, even though the PNP called election a year before its time. He said that the PNP should have had fixed election.
And he would enact that in his 400 days.
The business sector needs to know the date of the election. What Andrew Holness is doing now to the economy of Jamaica by having this election over the head of the people is a fundamental issue, is a fundamental problem, and it smacks a character flaw which has been Andrew Holness's fundamental issue from his very entry into politics when he ran in West Central St. Andrew, and Father Burchell McPherson reported that he went into the polling station, bad up the people in the polling station, and that's an affidavit. Andrew Holness believes that he can dictate in terms of his terms to the Jamaican people and how long he should stay into power when he promised 2 terms. That is sufficient to disqualify the man from office. 2 terms alone himself.
Thank you, head boy. So we're going to, at this point, we have to thank all of the panelists, the listeners, Jeffrey from Make We Talk, our candidate toss-up, and the reflections of the panelists, whether we agree or disagree. I'm hoping, Jeffrey, that one day we will have members of certainly the Jamaica Labour Party to come and respond to some of the thoughts and the reflections presented here by the panelists. In the end, before God and all mankind, we pledge the love and the loyalty of our heart to Jamaica, land we love. God, as you always say, Victor, God and country first. Thank you. Jeffrey Tavares, Make We Talk. Thank you, gentlemen. Victor Cummings, Conrad, Obrien, and of course, head boy. Over to you, Jeffrey.
Dr. Dunkley, you already closed the program out. I want to say thanks everyone for coming on. Not feeling so well, so thank you all.
Bless you. Cheers, Jeffrey.
Get well, brother. Get well.
God bless.
Blessings.
Conrad, all the best, all the best, Doc.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Doc. Later. Cool.
Bye-bye.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk. My people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk. People, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.